give them a shot to do what?
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to the Shy Kid Podcast, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. So make sure you give us a like, give us a follow if you haven't already, because I'm only saying it once, because we have one of the most genuine, realist individuals in the entire W and the basketball community. 20 years of college coaching experience. We're going to be talking everything, not Paige Becker. Shout out James Wade. Thanks, James. Another offseason where I just get to talk about nothing. But in all seriousness, I'm here with Marquee Network's very own Shimmy Miller. Shimmy, how we feeling?
Fantastic. You have the coldest intro in the entire game. Like, I've only lived in Chicago for a little bit over a year, and that intro, you just made me so excited to say.
I appreciate you. It was a Mike Hughes very own. Had to make that one. I gotta update it though. I gotta update it. We've had some trades since then. So Christopher Morel's not even on the team anymore. I got a lot going on. So I don't even know who to update it other than Christopher Morel. Like he was a Cubs staple. So I'll have to figure it out there in the offseason. Maybe I'll convince myself we're getting Juan Soto. But with that, we got a lot going on. Maybe Paige, maybe Pitt. No.
Next topic.
Shimmy, I just want to ask you, how was your 2024 season for the Chicago Sky with Marquee? Before we get into anything, because I mean, you have been killing it out here.
Well, thank you. First of all, I appreciate that. I'm still new at this. I mean, like you said, I'm a coach. I'm just a ball coach. And I have to remind myself when I mess up, I might mess up someone's names, which I try really hard not to, especially as a Black woman. My real name is Yashimbra. My name has been jacked up my whole life. So I try not to, but I get excited. It's live TV, right? And I'm stumbling and fumbling. And plus, as a coach, I'm just used to saying number 24, guard number 24. I'm not used to the names, but I'm trying. But I have to show myself grace, Mike, because I have to remind myself I'm not a TV person. I'm a ball coach who's talking about basketball on TV. I didn't go to school for this. So year one was really fun for me. Shout out to Marquee Sports Network and what they're doing, like airing every single game, whether it's, on the screen or on the app streaming, the show that Carly Bell, Derek Jensen produces, the Sky Show. We're one of the few WNBA teams that has their own studio show. So anything that you can do to elevate women's sports, we all got the t-shirt, right? Everyone watches women's sports. Well, you can't watch it if it's not on air. So shout out to Marquee Sports.
No, for sure. And I think like watching the evolution is crazy because we're not taking any shots at any other networks, but it's like Marquee is still so new. And for them to be able to start this already before networks that have been around for 30 plus years, it's kind of crazy to even have that conversation that no one watched the Sylvia Fowle Sky days, no one watched Elena Delle Donne days or the early Salute days just because they weren't on the air. And you either went to the games and knew about it or you didn't. It's kind of like, I don't know if you knew, like the Blackhawks, like early back in the day was like they weren't even televised. And that was like early 2000s. And then like you either found out that they won because someone was at the game or you found out that they lost because someone was at the game. But it's just really what it was. So to be able to see you guys going about it, KB, obviously, she is I would call her a fanatic of everything basketball. I mean, she's everywhere. She understands everything Chicago hoops. So to see you guys all coming together, Jason and everybody else, is really dope to see. And, this year was kind of like crazy. Like you said, like there's a lot of people who, may not have seen the W before. And we kind of talked to Dana and Izzy about that recently, about what this 2024 season was like for so many. And like, it made me feel like, I don't know how you feel about it, but like, I felt bad. And it was like, as someone who's in the media space, someone who is trying to paint these pictures in their best light, in who they truly are. If I'll post a video of Kennedy Carter and she's talking about how she loves puppies and kisses babies. And the entire comment section is something that happened against Indiana 3 months ago. And it makes me feel horrible because like all these comments live here. And it's like I feel like I'm responsible for it. But like, and I've talked to other people in media too. And it's like this season was just so, I guess, like strange. I wouldn't say it was bad because it was so good for so many reasons and so, bad for so many reasons, but it was just like a whirlwind. Did you, obviously being in college for 20 plus years, did you feel any way about how the WNBA was perceived by the new fans versus what you've seen in years past?
And I don't even want to call them fans. I don't even want to say they're new fans. Because if you're a fan of something, a fan of the league, a fan of players, then you don't act like that.
Mhm.
So I have a whole nother thing that I'd like to call them, but we'll talk about that. I'll say that off air.
Yeah.
But I saw the video with Dana and Izzy. It broke my heart, and I've watched it. It's happened to me because this past year I spent my first year in broadcasting for Big Ten Network, and I covered the Big Ten League studio and analyst, game analyst.
Slight flex by Shimmy.
This is a little bit, and so I got a little bit of taste of it when I picked Iowa to finish fourth in the league, and it was crazy. Like, first of all, it just got clipped. One little part got clipped off. It didn't say the rest of what I said never got heard.
Yeah.
And then that circulated. And I'm telling you, like hundreds of thousands, like over 1 million streams. And I got called, you name it, all kinds of N-words and jealous and racist and this. And I hate, Caitlin and I'm just like, where is this coming from? And then when Swoops did it, like when she said what she said year, then all of a sudden Swoops, it started up again with me. Like they had kind of chilled with me, but then they started tagging me and Swoops together, and it was awful. So then it was no surprise to me that kind of vitriol was going to permeate into the league, right? Because I feel like it really started when Angel and Caitlin were juniors and they played in the Final Four game. I think that's when the whole thing really
it was the whole everything. I mean, it was iconic for women's basketball.
Started. And so I hear what you're saying, because now, with me WNBA and I work for Chicago Sky, so I really try to use my social media to lift up the Sky. And so I'll clip videos of me talking about Angel, and in the comments, same thing. Like where I'll say, it's a great drag screen, and I just point out it's a great drag screen that Angel said. It's high IQ. This isn't a called play. This is a read, and then so many things were able to happen out of that. And it was just like over 100 comments. And so what ended up happening is I had to disable my comments on the TikTok. I had to disable my comments on the X app. I'll go through Instagram and I will personally delete stuff. I'll try to go through like once a week, and I'll just personally, because this is my platform, and I am not going to allow my platform to be used as a vehicle for you to spit your hate. So if that means that I turn off my comments, or if that means that I delete comments, or if that means that I just block you from my page, because I've done that a lot of stuff too. I've blocked people not because they've said stuff about me, but because they've said horrible things about Angel or Kennedy or whatever. I've blocked them. And because you're just not going to use me as a vehicle to get your crap out. But it's awful. It's unnecessary. There's no place for it in the game. And I don't want to hear that tired story of, well, welcome to sports, and this is how. There's a difference between saying someone, is a bum because they shoot 12% from the free throw line versus calling someone a young 22-year-old female a thug or ghetto or, all the other racist tropes that we've seen this past year.
And that was really, for me, like I would tell my girlfriend all the time, like I'm crashing out. Like I gotta remember, like, I'm a JUCO crash out is what I call it, because we never graduated college. Shimmy would be disappointed in me. 3-time dropout. But I gotta remember where I come from. We come from humble beginnings, and to be in this space, to be able to paint the images and tell the stories that we tell is unlike, I feel like, any other. And I talk to KB about that all the time. It's like, we're from here for real, and we understand what it's like to be from Chicago. So we want to paint these women in the right light. And it's like, I don't want to turn off my comments. I want people to engage. I want people to, talk about the game. And there have been some times where I just had to, because I'm like, I try to find the medium. I'm like, okay, well, if like the one video I have of Angel, 7 million views, and it's my favorite fucking video because she's talking shit and she's right there in her face at the free throw line. It's against Indiana, I believe, the first time in Chicago. It's my favorite video, but like half of it is hate and half of it is I love her. And I love that because there's that balance, and it's the real fans going at the what I just call is just Clark Mania fans, and it's like this whole different thing. And that's no shot at Caitlin either, because I'm sure she's sick of this shit too. Like
she doesn't use like that.
Yeah, and I really do think at the end of the day, like, I always talk about, like, you remember when Magic and Larry had that commercial that kind of like ended everything, and it just blew up. I'm waiting for their commercial together where it's just gonna be like the biggest thing. But like it's really crazy. We're having a little therapy session here, but like it really is like it kills me, because like for years I got interviews with Sloot, Allie, Ka, Candace, Elena, everybody, and it's like DT, and working at Team USA for the years I have. It's like, man, none of these videos ever blew up the way these ones have, but these ones have nothing to do with what we're trying to cover. And I think it's like the comments are just like, it's just been crazy. And like, I try not to be like, because, everyone's going to say, oh, you're soft. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not about me though. That's the problem. Because it's like, you'll make content covering Dana on a ball screen or something, or maybe she's trapping another player here. And it's like, there'll be comments saying she shouldn't even be playing, or she shouldn't start over so-and-so. And you're like, where is this? Like, where is this even? This is a champ. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, you don't even know Dana Evans. And it's like, it's those little things where like, we went through that the entirety of the 2024 season. And I think over time, it's gotten easier, I guess. It's slowed down a little bit. I from what I could see. But it's definitely that part for me. I wanted to ask you, like, if you're coaching young women, these are young 20 to 25-year-old young women, what do you even say if you're Teresa Weatherspoon to stuff like that? Because obviously you got to keep the main thing. We just can't be talking about Twitter fingers in the locker room after a loss. But what do you even engage that with?
So I actually had a chance to do just that, Mike. So I retired from coaching. What is it? 2024. So my last year of coaching was 2023. So I retired from coaching in March of 2023. And my last year at Minnesota, I worked for Lindsay Whalen, go point guard, right? And she was great. And she was young enough that she really got the whole mental health piece. A lot of old school coaches, they don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear any mental health stuff or mental health days. We don't need a sports psychologist. You just need to toughen up. Like, those days are over. And so Lindsay Whalen was young enough where she got that. And so at the last 5 years of my career, I was really diving deep. I was less about X's and O's and more about really diving into the mental piece of the game. So I was talking to sports psychologists. I was reading those types of books. I was going to those types of clinics. I did a 3-day meditation retreat. So I could learn this stuff. So then I could start to, incorporate this in my coaching. And so Lindsay let me do something that we called Mindfulness Mondays. We figured out that Monday was the most stressful day of the week for our team. We had just had a road trip or coming back from a game, Thursday, Sunday game. They were stressed. They were at that Mondays. They were a little bit behind with school. Most of them had a lot of classes on Monday. So we figured out Mondays were the most stressful days. Those were the least productive days for us in practice. So we started incorporating Mindfulness Mondays, where we would get into the film room, and before we did anything basketball related, we would start with 15 to 20 minutes of breathing, meditation. I would put together a small presentation, maybe a short video that's got Kobe talking or Michael Phelps talking or Simone Biles talking about different ways to protect your energy. And then we would finish with the meditation, and then we would start basketball.
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so one of the presentations that we did or that we talked about was social media. And so, and it was crazy because this was like before we really got into our season, and so we were playing well. Like we were playing non-con teams. They were like awful, and so like we were killing, we were winning, and this guy like was on all of our comments, and he was like, "You guys are so awesome. You guys are going to win Big Tens." You know, and I'm like, no, we're not. No, we are not. But I was like, my message to them was sometimes the good stuff is just as harmful for you as the bad stuff. And so the best thing to do is let's not listen to any of it. You know, you can say thank you and keep it moving. But you don't have to buy into it. Don't retweet it. You know, don't post it on your stuff. Don't feed into that. Because those comments, that's like food. Anything that you consume, it's food. And you know what they say, right? We learned this when we were like 6 years old watching Saturday morning cartoons, like you are what you eat, right? And so if that's what you're consuming, whether it's the stuff gassing you up or the stuff tearing you down, then you become that. And so so we had, you know, I tried to teach them how to control their settings, you know, so that you only see stuff if you search for it, if you search your name. And then so don't search your name. Or if you only see stuff, you only see the comments from the people that you follow or that you know, follow you, because most times your real followers, your real fans don't follow you.
That one's a life changer. I feel like that's what I had to do on TikTok.
Yeah, they just jump on your page to hate your shit. So so we got a chance to like talk about protecting your energy, and it's actually one of my favorite videos. And even though I'm not coaching anymore, I pinned it. Our video coordinator was in there filming it, so I clipped it off and I pinned it. So it's the first post on my Instagram. If anybody wants to go back,
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Watch it, yeah.
I'm gonna for sure check it out. But I'm with you until you said we watched the Kobe motivational stuff, because I tell you, Shimmy, like I love Kobe and I listen to it too. Like when I really need it, I listen to it. But sometimes you just having a day, and Kobe's like, "Hey, you having a day? I don't give a fuck." And I'm like, "Man, Kobe, we can't all be you, Kobe. Like I got bills, Kobe." Like Kobe's like, "Oh, you got work today? Nah, call off, go to the gym." I'm like, "Kobe, like you got millions of dollars, Kobe."
Yeah. Oh, you want to be at the gym? You want to be at the gym at 6 a.m.? I'm gonna be there at 3:30, motherfucker. Like
because you got nothing else to do. Like,
I was more about Kobe's meditation.
No, yeah,
more about Kobe's, not the Mamba mentality, but
that
more
shit's
about
fucking crazy, Shimmy. I'm the first person to tell you I love Kobe. I'm getting a Kobe tattoo next month, but no. That is nah, bro. You'll see me in the gym 3 hours a day, and that's it. This man talking about 3-on-3s. No, we're good. We're good. We are no longer in AAU.
The meditation.
The meditation is key, and I just need to start getting into it. But let's get into the season as a whole too. Jeff Pagliocca, man. I mean, a fucking a fucking GOAT, and there's no other way around it. Like you could give it to Indiana. I mean, you had the number 1 pick, so I mean, your job wasn't that hard. You know what I mean? Simple decision. But
well, you had the number 1 pick this year. You had the number 1 pick last year. You had the number 3 pick 3 years ago.
Come on, bro. Be real. Be so real. You know what I mean? Like, but for Jeff to be able to spin this the way he did, I remember walking into Teaspoon's inauguration, and Kalia Copper was there, Jeff was there, Chaz Franklin was there, you know, a bunch of the dogs were there. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, what is this roster going to look like? What is this going to entail? Obviously, you know, it's the off season, so they're not paying Mike Hughes anymore. I'm working at Jewel Osco, and I'm on my way to work, and I look at my phone, and Chaz calls me, and he tells me that Kyle's been traded. I'm like crying on my way to work, and I'm like, man, bro, like what's happening? And to go from 0 draft picks, losing your franchise player, losing damn near 90% of your roster to the Minnesota Lynx, because that's what we're calling it. That's what we're calling it, because they just finessed all our players. To 2 top 10 picks, 1 number 3 overall, getting Angel, 7th? And it's like, it's crazy to me that he was able to spin this the way he did, get someone like Kennedy Carter out of nowhere. And
China.
Yeah, like that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. How would you grade his offseason for the 2023-2024 year and what he was able to accomplish this year?
He's in my opinion executive of the year, because even after everything, even after losing Elizabeth Williams and losing Angel and coming in like the free agents that, I mean, he dug some free agents out of the dirt, like Kennedy, Kaiser, like where had Kaiser been? Izzy Harrison didn't play all of last year, right? So, and in spite of like all that, still it came down to the very last day. This guy might have been in the playoffs, right? It came down to the very last day. So now I think the real test will be what he's able to do next season. I think he's off to a great start by re-signing Elizabeth. I was really happy about that.
Oh man.
I am one of those people who believe that Camilla was not ready to be a starter in this league. And that's not a slap on her. I just think the center position is really hard. And I felt like she really would have benefited from coming in and being Elizabeth's backup this year. So I don't know what's going to happen next year, but I just think Elizabeth Williams is so good, what she brings from a leadership standpoint, but also she was productive. I mean, she was having one of the best offensive seasons of her career before she got hurt. 2023, she was second team all defense, so she still has a lot of production left in her. So I think that's a great start. So I think the real test will be what he's able to do in free agency.
Yeah. And obviously for everybody listening, because I felt like it just kind of like got brushed over because it was the end of the year, very end. Elizabeth Williams coming back on a 1-year deal. Obviously, she spoke vocally about that yesterday, about the CBA, and so many others have spoken about it, how, a lot of free agents are going to be signing 1-year deals. So we might end up getting a couple superstars on a 1-year deal. I'm not saying go out and buy their jerseys because, you don't know the longevity of that. But if they're good enough, maybe. But I think E coming back it shocked me, but it also didn't, because it showed me exactly who I knew Elizabeth Williams is. And I think like it shocks you because you're like, E, you can be the starting center of 10 organizations in this league outside of maybe the Aces. You know what I mean? And it's like, you look at that and you're like, for you to want to be here just because you feel loved, because you feel like you believe in the organization, despite losing James Wade, despite losing, a bunch of people in that front office and that coaching staff, it just shows me that Teaspoon and Jeff have still been able to keep or even, excel that culture that the other past regimes created. And it's like, for me, I mean, you have, in my opinion, the smartest, most intelligent basketball player I've ever met, other than Shim God. But I do think E is undoubtedly has the highest IQ in the WNBA, and I've always kind of felt that way. So to have her with Camilla, I think is huge. And for Milla to kind of, like you said, like it's hard when you say the number 3 overall pick is coming off the bench, but if you watch the WNBA, it's not uncommon whatsoever. And I think it's that slow integrate of trying to bring you in to be the best version of yourself. And I think for Camilla, especially, you went September to March, going straight into from April all the way to September now. And it's like, that was one hell of a season. You could see she was a little gassed at times, especially getting back on defense or getting back on offense. She not taking plays off, but definitely trying to catch her breath. And that shoulder injury, early in the year, like that shoulder injury, I said it to Carly Bell when we were sitting in a post-game interview back in April. And I'm like, dude, or was it May? And you're sitting there and I'm like, when they get that 1-month break and she goes back to Brazil, I don't care what she does in Brazil, she's going to have that break. And she is going to come back and she's going to have one of the better second halves in the WNBA. And that's exactly what she did. And for you to kind of keep that on Camilla, obviously we have our Rookie of the Year race right now. We're not going to get into it because we don't want people calling me and Shimmy horrible things.
Don't ask me, bro.
But where do you place Camilla? Because I see her in 4th or 5th a lot, and I have her all the way at 3 just because of the way she ended the season. But again, I see her every day, so I think that's why I'm a little biased.
I have her 3. I have her at 3, and so with you talked about how she was when she comes after the break, and this is why I have her so high, is the coach in me, the basketball coach in me, I always like to look at where you start and where you finish. So she started, I mean, when she first came back from the shoulder injury, she was shooting high 40%. I think she was averaging about 7.5, a little bit under 8 points a game. She comes back the second half of the season. I think she was about 12.5 points a game. She's shooting 60 something percent from the field. She's averaging almost 2 blocks a game. After Angel left, those numbers went up even more. She was averaging almost 10 rebounds a game. Her shooting percentage dipped a little bit, but that's understandable because now she's getting all the double and the triple teams now because you have no Angel. But her blocks went up, her steals went up, her rebounds went up. So I just felt like she was getting better and better as the season was going on. She was really taking ownership of who she was as a player. I think she was drafted so high partly because of her talent, but also partly because of her potential and her upside.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't feel like she was ready to be a starter this year. Now that she started almost the whole year with, I don't know what they're going to do because I don't see you putting her back on the bench now. Like, if that makes sense.
Especially year 2.
Right.
It's kind of like, did I not do
now
good
I think
enough?
She's
like,
a starter. Yeah. Now I think she's a starter, but I had her at 3 because of the impact. I think, and we can get into this or we cannot get into this, but I realized that Angel wasn't as efficient, and that was the big knock on her, is her efficiency. She's never been a super efficient player. I mean, her entire college career, I think she shot high 40s, maybe 47 to 49%. So she's never been extremely efficient. But I will also say this, as someone who has covered her, called almost every single game, but definitely watched every single game that she's played in the WNBA this summer. How many rookies have gotten doubled and triple teamed in the paint? Like,
hey, you remember that game against New York?
Every
quadruple team.
4 people on her, 4 people on this rookie to make sure that she didn't score that last basket. But she will get an offensive rebound and then immediately, and I've gone in the studio and broken this down. Like, it's not just me saying this. There's proof. Video doesn't lie. Is she gets double teamed or triple teamed almost every time she catches the ball at the rim. So not only now she's not this great athlete where she's just not going to jump over you. So she's already limited somewhat athletically, but now she's got to score through 2 of y'all or sometimes 3 of you some bitches. And she's getting, there's a lot of physicality. There's a lot of contact down there. So it's not an excuse. It just is what it is.
No.
But I had her, Camila, as 3rd.
Yeah, and that's really where I was, and I really want to touch on that Angel part too, because I think, and we can even dive into that in a little bit when we talk about the film of what we've seen from her in 2024 and versus 2023 and 2022. But I think when I watch her, especially in college, she's using her body, and she's going to be the most physical presence on the court. You know, whoever you are, I don't care if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's on the court. Like, Angel Reese is putting belt to ass every day. I think the difference was, you know, you're going against girls in Iowa, girls in Ohio State, and all these different places. That's Asia fucking Wilson, or that's Breonna Stewart, or that's Alyssa Thomas who body slams you, and it's like
Jones.
Yeah. You know? It's hard, I think. And I think, like, for me, I wanted your opinion on this really quick because I see it on her, but I don't want to speak for her. I think she's too quick with it. I think she's trying to get it out as fast as possible. And that's where you're just like trying to, I got to make a play. I got to make a play. I got to make a play. But it's like, just once that year 2 comes around where you can just slow down, you know, like you said, efficiently, that's kind of who she is. But there were moments where, you know, we're looking at 4 straight misses in a row. And I'm like, that's not Angel. Like, that's her just kind of trying to force the basket. So I think we're going to see that slowly transform to where physically, you know, she's the same person, belt to ass. But I think for me, mentally, once she starts feeling like the game is slowed down a little bit, that's when you're going to start to see the 20 points per game. I mean, I would say 10 boards, but she's already knocking 15 to 20 at times. So like that, but that scoring side of her that you saw at LSU, this was, you know, during the championship run, she's the one leading the team in scoring. And I think that's what gets missed a lot is, like, you know, everybody always says, oh, she had great teammates at LSU. She was still the leading scorer. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. And so for you, do you think that's more of a mental thing for what we saw at certain times in the season?
I don't know about the mental piece. There's a lot. As I coached the post players. That's what I coached for 24 years. And I played post, and I was an undersized post like Angel is. She's an undersized post.
Yeah.
And so when I'm watching her, because I don't know what's in her head,
Right.
but I can see a lot of things technically like that if she were my player, that I would be like, okay, so watch, for example, watch how many times she starts her release. Like the ball is here at her stomach. So now she's scoring from here to here versus here to here.
That's a little Steph Curry action.
A big difference, right?
Yeah.
So one, just getting a rebound or catching the ball instead of bringing it down to her stomach, of bringing it here. So there's less room for error if I can go from here to here. And there's also, like to your point, I'm getting it off quicker, but I'm not rushing. So I'm here to here. Yeah. The other thing is her footwork before the catch. Sometimes when she catches the ball, she's not in scoring position because of where her feet are when she catches the ball. Sometimes she's below the block. Sometimes, she's too far off the block. The other thing is her developing a nice, quick face-up rip. Asia Wilson has it. So when she catches the ball versus bigger opponents, of her trying to be physical and muscle and create space that way, because like you said, she's not as strong as some of those defenders that she's on, but instead she feels that strong body behind her. So just catching it and then a quick face up, reverse pivot, and then rip, one dribble rip. So and I get excited. Like I get so excited when I watch her because I see where she can be down the road. And that's the college coach in me. When I recruited kids, I didn't look at them and go, oh yeah, she's a junior in high school or she's a senior in high school and this is what she's going to look like when she's a junior in college. I look at a kid and go, this is where she is now.
Right.
Man, what is she going to be 3 years from now after she's had a good strength and conditioning coach, a nutritionist, and then we've gotten a chance to work with her for 3 years. So when I look at Angel, I get so excited because I see where she can be in 3 years. Whereas all these haters are out there looking at where she is now. She's 22 years old.
I think I try to keep it to a limited amount of F-bombs, especially on the pod, but it's fucked up when you really like see people hate on her because it's like, okay, let's say it's a failed season. Let's say Angel Reese had a horrible season by the marks of everybody watching, right? You broke damn near every single WNBA record, not rookie record, the WNBA records. And, you have 25 plus double doubles in a row consecutively. If that's a down year, that's fine. Like I'm completely content. If this is Angel Reese, the rest of her career, she's already done things people haven't done 20 plus years into their career. So I think like for everybody, coming at her a certain way, I say, okay, well, what if she does figure it out offensively though? Like what happens? Because she's already given you 20 boards. So then what are you going to do? Because it's going to be a real problem. And she is a force. And I think when we talk about it and people say whatever they want to say, you know what I mean? You feel however you feel, she's missing layups, whatever you want to say. First of all, please go try to get a layup on Asia Wilson because I'd love to see it. Because I ain't doing it. You see me, I'm like 5'8" on a good day. So ain't going. But when I see Angel, I see she's calculated in everything she does. I see someone who could give a damn whether she gets a double-double or not, but she just ends up getting one regardless. This is somebody that I believe when she does get everything in tune, she is going to be one of the MVPs of this league, whether that's because of popularity or because of what she's able to produce on the court. And I think it's going to be really scary, especially you talked about where you're going to be in 3 years when you have somebody drafted alongside you in Camila Cardoso. Where's Camila going to be in 3 years? And I think that for me is like, okay, cool. You're going to double Angel in the post. Here comes Camila crashing down. And now you have a 6'7" Brazilian woman in your face and she ain't playing no game. So I think it's scary to me to think what these two could potentially do together.
They are their growth and development is going to be predicated on what Jeff does as far as putting perimeter players around them. Yeah. Post players are only as good as the guards around them, whether it's the passes that they receive or the threat that they are on the perimeter. If my guards can't shoot, then they don't have to be guarded when they're standing outside the arc. So now your defender now is dropping down on me. And I think what you saw when Spoon changed the lineup against Phoenix the last time they played Phoenix, and she started Michaela Onyenwere at the 4, Rachel Banham at the 3. They put 4 perimeter players, 2 who could shoot, Michaela and Rachel, around Camilla to great success. They scored like 90-something points, I think, doing that. So you got to get better in free agency. Hopefully you can draft, but you need perimeter scoring because Camilla and Angel's development is going to be predicated on the guards that they put around them.
No, for sure. And you watch individuals like Asia Wilson have the MVP seasons that she's had, but when you don't have Jackie Young or Kelsey Plum or any of those individual Stokes around, what are you going to look like? And I think, Asia is Asia at the end of the day. I'm never going to take away greatness, but, you are who you're with. And I always believe that, if you hang around 4 bums, you're going to be the 5th one. If you hang around, 4 entrepreneurs, maybe you create an app and now you feeling pretty, but it's definitely one of those things where, the people around you are going to make you the best versions of yourself. So for me, like, hey, listen, I see her at games. I see her just hanging out. If I'm Jeff, he's got a great connection, great relationship with Allie Quigley. I see what Allie's up to this offseason. I don't know. I give her a call. I think I've been petitioning for it just because I know she ain't doing nothing else. You know what I mean? Like, I know she's probably enjoying her year off, but get her feet wet, come back to the Shy. We'll see what happens. But we talk about that a little later during free agency segment. But Kennedy Carter is somebody I really wanted to spend time on, especially during this segment, because not only a top 15 scorer in this league this year, but undoubtedly the most improved player of the year. For you, what do you think changed in her year off in 2023? I'm not going to say mentally because we really don't know where players are mentally, but like from her game, what do you think changed? Because she's always been a great scorer in college and everything else, but it felt like this year she went from a great scorer to a 3-level scorer. And I think that was something, a part of her game that I kind of was always like, it had potential to be there, but it never all came together. This year, it felt like everything was just one after another. She's knocking it down.
Yeah, so the 3, and you really saw it at the end of the season. I mean, she had a great September and August as far as shooting the 3. So that was that piece. I mean, she could always get to the rim. Her mid-range game was already there. For me, a couple things happened. So when things go down the way they went down in Atlanta, and then you get another shot in LA, and they sign you to a 2-year, and then a month into the season, they go, you know what, take the money and bounce.
Yeah.
They paid her last year. LA paid her last year to go play in China, right?
Yeah.
So when something like that happens, you have no choice but to look within and say, okay, maybe it's not everybody else. Maybe I play some part in this. Kennedy Carter came into training camp this year, I think, with a little humility, but a lot of gratitude, because she was over in China, killing it in China, but keeping an eye on the league and watching all these players in the league who she knows she's as good as or better than, that players that she's cooked, right? And now she gets a chance. Jeff and Teresa, they bring her in, and she just played with so much gratitude and joy. Where I saw Kennedy really grow as a player, Mike, was on the defensive end. Kennedy Carter never had to play defense. I coached against her. I was at Texas Tech when she was at Texas A&M. Kennedy Carter bought into what Teresa Weatherspoon wanted to do defensively. And she actually was a great defender when she was out in the 6 games that she missed, or 7 games that she missed, where Sky really struggled besides scoring in the paint and fast break points, but were steals. The steals were exponentially lower without Kennedy because of the way that she jumps passing lanes and assists. Kennedy's a great playmaker. So, and Kennedy I watched time and time again where teams were trying to post her up. You can't post up Kennedy Carter. That's where she actually got a lot of her steals, is when teams tried to post her up and exploit her. She's a very, very good defender. And so she just became more of a complete all-around 2-way basketball player. You had a coach who believed in her, who bought into her, who accepted her, met her where she was while trying to, to bring her along. And I think that trust went a long way with Kennedy, and that sense of belief that Spoon and Jeff had in her. It was fun to watch her grow and develop. And this year you talked about how she was top 15 in scoring. Well, since she was a starter, this is what a lot of people don't know. You look at stats, like numbers don't lie, but they don't tell the whole story. And so since she's becoming a starter, she actually was averaging 21 points a game, which would have tied her for 4th in the league.
And it's crazy to even put that into words, especially when you look at the contract that she got this year and the idea that she wasn't even a starter from day one. And obviously it's a different conversation when you have Marina in the building and you're trying to find out where Kennedy is both as a person and as a player, because obviously you've a year removed. And a lot of people take that, you can take that in stride or you can, be bitter over it. So I think Spoon's trying to figure out where she's at. And I think once she knew she was bought in, there was no turning around. Like I remember the 4 media sessions in a row, post game interviews. Hey, is Kennedy starting? Is Kennedy starting? Is Kennedy starting? And Spoon's like, man, can you just let me fucking do what I do? Like, and I'm like, you thought for real? Like, it all comes in time. But like we talked about it in training camp when we were kind of breaking it down on the network. They were like, well, what do you think of Kennedy Carter? Is she going to make the roster? I said, undoubtedly. I mean, I think Jeff brought her in my opinion, and Spoon to be that Rebecca Gardner replacement with hopes that she could score like Ka with a lack of scoring on this team. And I think that was my perfect like comparison of who they are. It's Rebecca Gardner meets Kalia Copper and they're one body. And I think it's like she's like an engine. She just goes. She's so fast. She's so athletic. She reminds me of the Windy City Assassin himself. She's a little Derrick Rose in her. But I think it's really incredible to see her really get after it and really do what she's done. And like I even want to give her flowers for the stuff that people hate. Like when she checked Clark like that, like, yeah, you want to talk about that's not a basketball play. That's a Chicago hoops play. Like I don't give a fuck. I see that shit happen at Export on Saturdays and sometimes on Sundays. Like that's really just what it is.
I'm from Michigan, so that was a Bill Laimbeer Bad Boys. That's what that was. That was vintage Bad Boys.
I remember I said on the show, I said, that's a Chicago play. And if you don't like it, cry to your mama, not to me. And then people were like, if that's a Chicago play, Chicago is ghetto and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, but you're going to have to see us. Like you can say what you want at the end of the day, but you're going to have to see us. And that's really what it is. And I think like, I love that aspect of Kennedy Carter. I love the passion and the drive that she has. And I think sometimes that gets miscued with things that happened in her past. But I'll say firsthand, I had nothing but amazing experiences with Kennedy Carter the entire season. I never had one bad experience, one bad interview, one bad conversation, or, maybe she blew me off here and there. Like never, not once. It was always with grace, and she always took it with grace. And the way she handled, the stuff at the hotel in Washington and the way she handled everything on social media after the Clark stuff, that was for me, okay, what you see the progress she's made as a person, because you're trying to figure out, like, is she gonna crash out? Like, because I'd crash out, Shimmy. Like, I would lose my top if people were following me with cameras in my face or this and that.
That's exactly why, though, I wish that she wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I do. I wish she wouldn't have done that because, like I said, I've been someone who's felt the wrath of those people. And I just know how they are. And I just felt like that was a distraction that she didn't need. And I was also worried about how media was going to perceive her because of all the, the struggles.
You listen, not to cut you off, but like, I haven't talked about it publicly. It's like some of our own cats, like some of our own people in that media room. Well, I'm gonna keep it light, but it's like the stories they wrote about Kennedy Carter after that. And let's be so real, if she would have did that to anybody else in this league, it's not perceived that way.
I thought what Alyssa Thomas did to,
oh my God,
a lot worse.
When I tell you, I heard that shit from the grandstands. I was getting a pretzel and I heard boof. And
I thought what Alyssa did to Angel was a lot worse. And we didn't hear anything about that.
Not a word.
That's why I wish Kennedy would not have done that, because one of the perception that people already had. It was almost
Mhm.
kind of like people were waiting, and so then they could go, see, I told you.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
they won't show the elbow to the face, the player immediately
yeah,
before that.
yeah,
So,
no,
but
yeah, I know
it was a phenomenal season from Kennedy Carter,
it
and
was.
I do want to ask you, as a coach. So if you're Jeff Pagliocca, if you're Teresa Weatherspoon, obviously Kennedy's had a solid career thus far
Mhm,
in her basketball career, but there
mhm,
was never a season like this.
mhm,
So when it comes to CBA and everything else, ignore it to the side. When you talk about extensions,
mhm.
what value do you value Kennedy Carter? Is this a max player?
Not yet,
Yeah,
not yet.
that's kind of where I'm at, because it's like, I mean, man, the scoring tells you she is. You know what I mean? But it's about continuity and
Yeah.
consistency in which you're going to get that. Now, I do think there are going to be teams out there that do value her somewhat close to that, and I
Mhm.
think that's where we could get a little outbid, especially in this offseason. Luckily, I think we could say the Sparks and the Atlanta Dream will not be in that conversation. But I do think it's really interesting to me to see who's going to potentially be in on her, because I
Right.
think that's really what it's going to come down to.
And she
It's
can play for everybody. I'm just telling you that right now.
anybody.
Teresa Weatherspoon is a perfect coach for her, for the reasons that I talked about earlier. If she can't play for Teresa, she can't play for anybody in this league.
Yeah.
She could play for Teresa. So she's not going to be like, she can't play for Cheryl Reeve. We already know she can't play for Kurt Miller, in
Yeah.
LA. She can't play for
I don't think a lot of people could play for Kurt Miller, by the way. I don't know if you have a relationship with him, but I can't stand Kurt Miller. But that's just me. That is my cue speaking. That is not Shimmy Miller. That is my cue. I cannot stand Kurt Miller.
I could see she could play for Nate Tibbetts. I mean, he's an NBA
Sure.
guy. Like, he's used to dealing with all kinds of personalities, in the NBA. Like,
Do you think she could play with Becky?
no.
I don't think so either.
Mm-mm.
Because I think Becky's it's my way or the highway with
And,
Becky Hammond. I don't think
well,
she
and
meets
the
people.
other thing though is you got to look at those other players on the team, like those vets. Like, they're not going to put up with, it's also, they have a very strong Aces
Yeah.
culture there that's already established. Like, Chicago's still building and developing their culture. That's why retaining Elizabeth Williams, I thought, was so important. Bringing back Rachel, I think Rachel is going to be really good for the culture of Chicago next year, Rachel Banham. But I don't know, like, she comes in with a built-in really strong personality. I don't know if she would fit in with the Aces culture. I mean, but what do I know?
No,
But
yeah, you never know. Like, I didn't think Candace Parker would even go there just
if
because it's Candace Parker, you know?
if Kennedy would have been able to play this entire season, I know she got hurt at the end and the sickness and all that, but if she would have been able to play this entire season, and I guess maybe my standards are too high because, like I said, I know Kennedy's backstory. And if she would have been able to hold on, play this entire season, then maybe. But I saw some dips there. I
Yeah.
don't think she's there yet.
Yeah, I think there were definitely times, especially coming back from the injury, that scoring level of her kind of decreased, and I think a part of that is getting your feet wet again, and it's trying to get back into your repetition and what you're trying to do and accomplish. You're also limited, I think, a lot of the time. Now, the foot one, I still. I mean, I don't even think Kennedy really knows what's going on with her foot, because she kind of talked about that. Like, they diagnosed her with something, but it's also not this. So like, she said she'll be all right, and within like 7 days or something along the lines. So it's definitely something for me where, I mean, man, it was just one horrible end to such an incredible season. And I think, like, what had me the most, we're just having a therapy session today, Shim. And
That's
but like, what sold me was I see fans on the internet saying, oh, well, they're not playing her because they want the lottery pick. And I'm like, okay, you could get me behind that with any other player in this league other than Kennedy Carter. Kennedy Carter is not sitting just to sit. And that's not her person. That's not Teaspoon. First of all, like, and that's not Jeff Pagliocca. Like, these are winners, and we're trying to win. So, like, everything she was going through, I can't imagine how frustrating that is. You're sick in LA, you come back, you're fine. Now you're sick again, and now you're injured. And it's like, it was just a whirlwind of what playing basketball is. It is like, there's highs, and there's really high highs and really low lows. But I think bringing her back would be huge, especially when you don't have Paige Beckers. It's just
Well,
saying.
and like throw that whole draft pick thing out, because let's not forget, like if they get a higher draft pick
Yeah.
than Dallas can.
Exactly. So it didn't really even matter to me to where they were, especially because you knew at the end of the day you're not going to be worse than Dallas. So it's like it's really just pointless at this point to try to do whatever you had to do for that pick. And I only brought that up because I've seen it so many times. I've seen it so many times when she's not in the lineup. People are commenting, "Oh, they're tanking, they're tanking, they're tanking," and I'm like, if you were there every single day and you saw Angel trying to give it a go, trying to, I mean, she finishes the game against LA. And and people are saying that in a post-game interview, I don't know if you saw it, there's a picture on Twitter of her going like this to her wrist. People are saying, "Oh, well, if it was broken, how could she bend her wrist?" And I'm like, there's just
because not only are everyone on Twitter basketball coaches and
yeah, college
professional
coaches are the
athletes,
best.
and also doctors now in orthopedic surgery.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That woman broke she either broke or tied 16 WNBA or Sky franchise records. Not, like you said, not just rookie records, but records. And she was on pace to break or tie 6 more before she got hurt.
Yeah.
She broke the season rebound record and then would have held it if she'd kept playing.
I mean, look, how many
broke it, right?
Shimmy, if you remember, how many games did it take Asia Wilson just to catch up? It took her to the very end to catch up.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, Angel to me undoubtedly would have had over 500 rebounds this season. I don't think it's a question. I think she would have hit the 500. That would be the first time in W history that's even been close to even happening.
No one tanked. No. It is what it is. Injuries are part of the game. Sky got hit hard.
Very.
What it is.
Yeah. And that's the only reason I brought it up, is because I see these Twitter comments and I'm like, if you saw how hard they worked, if you saw how hard Camilla worked just to get back to what's as close to 100% as she could have gotten for the second half of this year, like there is no doubt in my mind that every single one of them wanted to be in the playoffs. Every single one of them wanted that taste of what it's like to play playoff basketball in Chicago. It was like 6 years, it was 5 years in a row, the record was, and it was about to be 6. So it's like, they're holding that to a standard of, Kalia Copper's gone, Candace Parker's gone. They're trying to become something in their own regard. And I think they're on the pace to do that. Before we get you out of here, I do have a couple free agency questions for you. Okay. Shimmy, I'm putting you in the chair. I'm putting you in the chair as GM. Jeff, gone. Shimmy's in spot. We have 2 top 10 picks right now, just like last year. I told Jeff yesterday, I go, I don't know how you did it. I go, you find yourself with 2 top 10 picks again. Where are you at with this offseason when you already have someone like Angel and Camilla in the building, 2 pillars, 2 rookies? Obviously, we talked a little bit backstage about, what it's like, bringing in veterans and trying to, create that culture and continue it. Do you keep those picks, or do you try to kind of like the Mercury last year where it's, hey, man, we really don't need another rookie. We kind of could go trade for a big name player.
I would like a rookie pick. I would, because I like the fact that you have them and you have them locked in for 3 years, right? However, I do think the Sky needs another experienced player who is a 3-point shooting threat on the perimeter. Like, so for example, I know she is not popular. I know that, but like a Sophie Cunningham, for example,
man.
I would have loved to have, had an opportunity to go after someone like her.
Yeah.
3-point shooting threat. She's tough. She's physical. She buys into this Chicago mentality that you talk about. She's a big.
I was just say to you, by the way, guys, if Kalia can play with her, you have to let it go. That's all I'm saying. If I said it to Ka, I said, yo, like, we doing this? And she was like, let's run it. And I was like, okay. Like, if Ka's okay with it, we're all okay with it. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So I want the experience. I want the experience, and I want a good perimeter scoring threat. Like I don't want a rookie point guard unless it's Paige Beckers. But otherwise, I don't want a rookie point guard. I wouldn't mind a rookie shooter like Pow Pow from South Carolina, but I don't want a rookie point guard. I want a vet, and I want somebody who can score on the perimeter. So that's what I want.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm a firm believer. This is just me, and people might agree or disagree. We got some people in here. I could tell by the views if they don't like it, but Flau'jae is going to be on the board at some point, and I think if I was Jeff, I would do my due diligence to try to bring her into Chicago, just to create that culture of winners win, and that's what we do. We bring in winners. These are people who won at the highest level collegiately. It's not just because of the relationship with Angel, but it plays a part into it. You know what I mean? You make her feel comfortable, make her feel at home. I felt like at times, not that Angel felt like she was on her own, but definitely trying to get accustomed to, I'm meeting new people and this is this new season and people don't know me or know my ticks, know how I feel about certain things. You bring in Flau'jae, I think that's a whole different thing. And plus we got some DJ stuff in Skytown too.
Yeah. We need a female DJ for this. We got a rotation, like 4 DJs. We got no female DJs.
Shit ton of DJs. I mean, man, I don't even, sometimes I just look in the booth. I'm like, I don't even know who that is today. There's no disrespect either. They do a great job.
A full-time female DJ, like in that rotation.
That would be tough. Now, my last one for you.
Okay.
Sky, the lion. The lioness. How did you feel about Sky? And are you going to miss Sky Guy? Because I think they could have coexisted. That's just my personal opinion.
Sky Guy got the boot. Oh, he got the boot. Y'all did him dirty.
They did him bad.
I am not gonna miss Sky Guy. I always thought that was weird, to be honest with you. He's a weird mascot. Now, Sky the lioness, I like her. I do. She's sassy. She got the hairstyle. She flips up her hairstyle. She's got the lashes. She's got her outfit. I don't want her to become like an elephant wannabe though. Yeah. Like she needs.
Talking about Ellie from New York.
Ellie, that's it. She needs a little more Sky flavor to her, not just the hair and the lashes, but like even her dancing. You know what? The Sky Chicago, y'all are known for like the.
Oh, we got the juke parties going on, Shimmy. What you talking about?
She needs a little more Chicago flavor, not just an Ellie elephant like knockoff. So
I was like, I saw it, and I think like. Once Sky Guy, I think you know what I'm talking about. Once he put the I guess it's a shield or the helmet on his face, I was like, I like Sky Guy a lot more now. But remember he had that fat ass chin, he looked like Jay Leno, and I was like, bro, get away from me. Like, why do you look like this?
He looked like do right.
Yeah. Yeah. He looked bad. But look, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you tuning in. Can you let the people know everything you got going on and where they can find you?
Yeah. Instagram, I'm Shimmy Gray Miller. On the X app, I'm Shimmy33. On Threads, I'm Shimmy Gray Miller. And then TikTok. I don't know what I am on TikTok, to be honest with you.
She's great. That's what she is.
But I'm going to be, you can catch me on Big Ten Network, calling and covering women's Big Ten games. So I'm just going to be all about now transitioning to college hoops. So
getting into it. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a new landscape. Juju Watkins, Paige Beckers, Pow Pow, and the dogs taking over the league now that Angel, Camilla, and Caitlin are gone. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being here. This is the Give Us a Shot Network. So make sure you give us a like, give us a follow if you haven't already. We're going live every single day. If you're tired of my ugly face, you can always see somebody more beautiful and pretty than me. Got Germ, Mike Powers, Protect Our Queens, and so many other amazing individuals in WNBA content and all around sports. You can find me on TikTok. We just hit 155K, which is crazy, at theshy.kid. Instagram, we're doing okay. We're doing okay on Instagram. Not too much. Shimmy does better. At theshy.kid. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We will check you guys out next time. Until then, we'll be back. Hopefully talking to Jeff Pagliocco within the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk to him about everything other than Paige Beckers. So
Give them a shot to do what?